I was shocked at the level of anger when I say something like, I think my life matters. I said on the street, I said, yeah,
that upsets me, for the record, when you say that your life matters. So, me too. Hashtag
me too. No, dude, I said something like, I just want to be treated like an American. And this dude lost his shit. He started cursing at me and flipping me off. It's wild. It's wild out there.
I can't imagine. I just would. I don't have balls, but I would have been like, dude, can we talk after the show? Can we just? What happened in your life that you're so angry?
I try.
At this one sentence.
I try. I say, hey, it's cool, man. Like, we can just talk about it. And they don't do. They just scream at you and they walk away. Mm-hmm. Every time.
It's fucking. Sounds like hanging out on the streets is like hanging out in the lobby of a mental institution.
Dude,
like, no, dude, I don't want to play ping pong with you. Stop.
America's become a mental institution. It's just insane.
No, America's the greatest country on earth. Rah, rah.
Right.
Dude, I'm afraid to wear a red hat just in general now.
Right.
Like, and not even because I'm going to be shot for standing in the wrong hood, but it's like, I'll be in the right country for that.
I saw a flag that said, keep America great again. It's like, bitch, you want it to stay like this?
Yeah.
This is not the business. This is not fun.
At least not here. California's a very weird bubble that we live in.
Yeah.
Huh.
My stupid bad joke writing brain. Every time I see like all lives matter, I just go, really? All lives? Like all of them? Like we know a few lives that don't matter.
Right? Even hats are like one size fit most. Welcome, everybody, to another episode of the Buddycast. I shouldn't say another episode because it's been
A while.
Probably closer to a year. So, welcome to the Buddy Reboot Cast. Buddycast Reboot. What's the difference between a reboot and a remake?
Reboot. Oh, shit. Oh,
Yeah,
fuck. Hold on.
I would say
Write your answers down. We'll
Yeah.
talk about it at the end of the show.
a remake is, I would say, they're taking the same story. Like, they're just doing the same story. That's a remake. Like, what was that? That Lady Gaga movie where she's a country singer.
Star is Born.
So they made that movie like 3 different times.
Yeah,
So
that's the third time they did it. It's ridiculous.
And they still won like a bunch of awards. So like that's a remake. A reboot is like I think what they're doing with the Fresh Prince in the sense like I think like Will is now gonna have kids and grow up in a certain neighborhood. So that's
He
like,
should leave his son so we can get another fucking episode of How Come My Daddy Don't Want Me?
that was a great episode. I still remember.
Solid episode.
That was great.
Yeah. Mike James dropping facts as our guest for today on this I'm going to just call it a redo episode of the Buddycast because we're here. We're back. We're live. Mr. Mike James, how has your quarantine been treating you?
Good. You know, when it started, it was like, okay, you know, there's like a 90% chance I'm going to get this thing, blah, blah, blah. And so I was scared of everything. I didn't go out. But one thing was for sure, like, I didn't want to get fat. So I started running.
Right.
And so I've lost weight, you know, staying in shape.
Nope. Did you run in high school?
I did. I was cross country.
Okay. Did you run in college?
No, I wasn't that good.
Oh,
I was actually kind of shitty in high school.
I don't relate to any of that because I was fat in high school. Did you do sports in high school, Aaron, or were you the nerd? You were the theater
Comedy
kid?
sports.
Comedy sports?
Yeah.
I always wanted to do that. Low key, if I could do high school again, I would do comedy sports, but it fell in the same season as basketball.
What does a high school season of running entail?
You run every day.
Every fucking day? How far do you run every day?
It's, if I remember correctly, like Mondays and Tuesdays were our long days, so like 9 to 12 miles. And the rest of the week, it was like either sprints or short runs, like 3 to 4 miles.
Fuck.
Which I never understood correctly because I'm like, it's only a 3-mile race. Like, why do we got to run like 12? Can't it just be like 9 all the time? Or
It's
8?
that old school training mentality of like, if you can do more, you can do it during game time.
I guess.
think.
That's why I was never good at sports. Like, I was like good enough to like make the team, but I was like never a starter. Like basketball, I was short in high school.
Okay.
I
That's
was-
weird. That's a weird fact.
was-
He had the duck coming in today.
I was 5'6" 5'7" all through high school, and then college I just sprouted. So I made the basketball team.
PEDs. Got it. You've been fucking Mexican supplement growth spurt.
I drank a lot of milk afterwards.
Who was a growth spurt at what, 20, 21? Really?
Yeah, I was the late bloomer. My voice didn't change. I don't know about you guys. My voice didn't change till I was in high school, like freshman year.
Wow.
So you're 14, maybe.
Huh.
When did your voice change?
Second grade. Yeah, I was combing out my beard, by third. No, I want to say like early high school, maybe freshman or sophomore year.
Okay.
Really?
Yeah.
Fuck. When did you hit your growth spurt? You're also 8 feet tall.
I want to say I started around the same time. I think freshman, sophomore year was when I started just kind of coming into my awkward.
Yeah, but he grew after high school,
That doesn't make sense to me.
right?
That's illogical.
Where did you grow up?
I grew up in Chino Hills most of my
Don't
life.
drink the water
Yeah,
in Chino
something in the
Hills.
water. It's the
It
minerals.
stunts your growth.
So yeah,
Did you have did you do any other sports in high school?
so I ran cross country, then it was basketball, and
And then you said
track.
you weren't good because you were short.
Yeah, so I sat on the bench a lot. Like for me to go into the basketball game, we had to be up by at least 25. There was even one time, oh guys, this is embarrassing. The starting point guard is Dante. He was so good. He brought the wrong uniform. He brought the home jersey when we were away. We were playing the shittiest team in our conference or league, whatever they call them.
Shout out to Colton High. What up?
And so I was like, oh, sweet. At least I'll see some playing time because I'll be the backup. I'll be the one coming off the bench. My coach called me in. I was like, dude, can you lend Dante your uniform? And I was, at the time, I was just like, I want to be a team player, sure. But if I could do that moment over again, I'd be like, Coach, we're playing the shittiest team.
No.
I'm not that bad.
Are you a competitive person?
I am. I really am. To a point. I'm a competitive person. In comedy, this is when my sister told me to kind of like pursue comedy. If I lose something in sports, like it bugs me here and there. If I lose at poker, it bugs me, but I can let it go. If there's like, she noticed at like a young age, if we were at a family party and I wasn't like the funniest or another cousin was getting more laughs, I would be like pouting. And she's like, you really take this comedy thing seriously? I was like, I want to be funny, and so.
And that's the plan, right? To just be a comedian in the future. Yeah.
That's the plan. And but it's a story I make up in my head. Like, so I started comedy after you two gentlemen. So you guys are always my elders. So you guys, I'm always trying to catch up to you. So in my mind, I have to
You
say,
need better moral models.
Agreed.
so in my mind, I have to be like, I need to catch up with them. So
You're
that's
done.
why I push my.
Welcome. What's up?
Are you guys competitive at all? Like in comedy?
I'm just competitive in life, but it more so just with myself. Like, competing with other people will bring me to the next level, but I don't like to get there if I don't have to be. Like, it's just me. If something's hard, I like to do it because it's hard.
Yeah.
The journey and not the destination. Go
I'm
recharge my fucking crystals.
I'm super competitive, and I'm trying to learn how to kind of adopt some of that mentality. Like, I'm competitive with other people. You'll hear me compare myself in every goddamn podcast. Okay, yeah. I compare myself to other people all the time.
Yeah.
And I think part of that's healthy. I think it's like, it pushes me further or whatever. But it's also not good for happiness.
I don't think it's not good. Like, well, it's hard to say.
That was a really good. Was that triple negative?
Probably. So it's a positive in your life. I think it's good to be driven by other people because you can only get so much information in your own bubble. So there's I think it's a different lane of competition when you involve other people. So I think a lot of people paint that in a negative context of like, that's not the right way to do it, but that's just a different way to do it.
Right.
So I don't think you're not going to if you're not happy, that's your fault. It's not because of the way you're pursuing things.
I think it's a balance thing I need to find. So like when I'm focused too much on other people, then it's like I'm not happy. That's why I kind of logged off of Instagram and watching other people. But when I'm focused a little too much on myself, I get lazy. So I think for me personally, it's a balance.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I don't. What do you guys think about? Speaking about like being competitive, what do you guys think about comedy competitions? Because for me, it's like that old saying, comedy is subjective, and then to have someone be like to judge it, I'm like, I don't like. It's the crowd's the ultimate judge, right? In my opinion, but I probably should. So 2021, I am going to enter more comedy competitions because I just need stage time That's what I'm gonna treat it as.
Right.
But I do have some other comic friends that treat comedy competitions like life and death, and I'm like,
I am very pro comedy competition, and I feel like that's a controversial thing in art in general, because it's like, how do you judge something that's overall subjective to the subject? But in practice, and like everyone has the same goal, who can get to that goal the best, the quickest, the hardest, like I think that can be measured. So as long as it's like a bare bones competition of, let's say you have 10 comics on the lineup, and then everyone submits papers of their favorite 3, and you're just doing it old school style, like who had the most favorites that night.
right.
That's a good gauge of like who's arguably the best comic, or at the very least, who was the best comic that night.
Mm-hmm.
So it gives everyone kind of a puncher's chance to compete.
Right.
And at the same time, there's no real like, oh, well, he brought the whole crowd. Well, he made the whole crowd laugh. They all liked him. So
Yeah.
how do you argue that?
Exactly.
And then, it's just how someone gets to that win is entirely subjective. So I don't know. It's playing with a double-edged sword, I guess. There's a poison to it, but if you can consistently win in those old school environments, then you're probably pretty good.
Mm-hmm.
And I've won a couple, so I have to be pro that. But it's also paid my bills. Like I've gone through a competition circuit essentially to pay a bill for rent and something. So it's stage time, like you said. I'm pro it, but I do understand when people are against it, because how do you judge comedy? So
I think it's just fun.
Yeah.
I think it's just fun to do. Just I comparing things. I like we were talking about we did a post on Facebook or something about like you had to lose one of these comedians. It's like Richard Pryor, Martin Lawrence, whatever. Who do you lose? And it's obviously I don't want to lose any of those people, but it's fun to discuss.
Yeah.
It's just fun to be like, who, Kobe or LeBron? Like it's just fun to me.
You know what I like about comedy competitions, I guess, is that it puts a solo pursuit in a more head-to-head direction, where there is a definite tension in the room, and I like to watch how people navigate that stress. Like, some people crack, some people can't handle it. Other people's got fucking ice in their veins and take it home every time, and fuck those people. I don't know how they do it.
Yeah.
Probably with, like, beta blockers and shit, honestly.
Yeah, I crash and burn. I've only done like 3, if you will, like either auditions or, because we were all part of that one in Ontario.
Oh God.
You
Oh,
made,
yeah.
you made it to
Yeah.
the next round.
Yeah,
It came off stage and I knew
I made that flyer, bitch. I'm more proud of that than my set. That's how it went.
But yeah, no, you did good. And I remember walking off stage and I was like, damn, that wasn't it, So I got to get better at them, because I do right now crack under pressure. I just put too much pressure on myself.
I don't know how. I wanted to get to that. Is like, I feel like, because I'm a recent late life runner, I would say, late life jogger, if we're being real, and I feel like there's a level of discipline that you have to carry when you're running, especially like for a duration, because there does reach a point where it's kind of in your head, where it's like, I'm going to quit, I'm done. And for me, that's about 40 feet in. But it's also that gets extrapolated over longer runs. Like sometimes it's 80 feet in, sometimes it's half a mile in. But there's always that level, I want to quit, but choosing not to. And I don't know, you said you're a runner, doesn't that?
Yeah, but like I follow you on Instagram and I see your post about running, but you run like long distances.
It's jogging, though.
And
George is a maniac.
I maybe do like 4 or 5, and then I'm it. That's it. That's all you get from me. Like, so I like, yeah, you're saying you jog. You still put in a good pace. I do like a 9-minute mile, but then after 4 miles, I'm like, I'm done. I don't need to.
That's still 4 miles.
I get
like
bored really easily.
my jog is a 5K, and I'm like, all right, I'm over it. Like, let's go home.
Are you a runner too? Yeah.
Fuck that.
Aaron runs like he's being chased, though. Okay, he doesn't go jogging. He doesn't go running. He goes, let me run away from my problems.
He's looking over his shoulder.
There was a point when I was running. What is that shit that we have? The runner app thing.
Run keeper.
We had run keepers. And I was jogging for a while, and it was like, I have a thing about pacing myself. I have a thing about rushing because of the way I was raised. And so the way I would jog was like, I need to get this over with. And I would just Terminator that shit all the way through. I'd be exhausted by the end. But what you were saying, like, it doesn't even help when you do that?
Not necessarily. I mean, because I like when I was taking jujitsu, a big thing is called cooking the beans. Like you're being patient. You're letting the other. You're expending the idea. And ideally, in jujitsu, you want to use less energy than your opponent, so that there can come a time where you can capitalize on an opportunity and kill them, essentially. Or break an appendage. Make life very inconvenient for their foreseeable
I've never
future.
seen
Very
that.
nice way to describe
I've
it.
never seen that marketing before.
But yeah, Cobra Kai, bro. Strike first, strike hard. If you haven't seen it, check it out. It's on Netflix. It was on YouTube.
Is that good, by the way?
It's fucking dope.
My girlfriend tried to get me to start watching it. I'm like, I'm just so loyal to like the 80s movies I grew up on. So I'm like,
You'll love it.
okay.
You'll love it. But yeah, going back to cooking the beans, it's like that's kind of how I've lived my life because I was a fat guy. I'm not an explosive person. I can't just take off. So I've had to adopt that sort of strategy in almost everything I do.
Right.
I think that's why I like being around George and Will. Is it reminds me of balance.
Being fat, this
Yeah.
fucking bully.
I get to look at their obesity and their man tits flopping around, and I get to feel to myself, I have abs. But no, the balance, man. My issue is balance. It is a yin and yang, and it's always rush, kill it, fight, go hard, and then eventually I get exhausted and I get angry, and so I need to balance. That's
I get, I don't know. I think I get bored really easily, especially if things are going to be hard. Like, this is so stupid. I was watching a documentary on Rubik's Cube speeders. It's on Netflix. It was 45 minutes. I was like, yeah, I'll watch it.
this is
And
a documentary about Asperger's. I think
I
it's
think, I think you're right. And it was one of those, like, I realized, like, I've never done a Rubik's Cube, but the reason because is, like, I will try it for, like, 5 minutes and then be like, okay, this is impossible.
yeah.
So that's
It's
why
like when I do a Rubik's Cube, I feel like I'm just digging myself into a deeper hole.
you're making it harder.
Like I know I make one right move and then I made 17 moves back. It's like, why am I doing this? This is just, I'm making this a bigger problem for myself later.
Yo, speaking of all this, this is a stupid transition. What made you decide to take comedy seriously? Like, what made you decide, like, oh, I'm doing this for my career?
Probably my midlife crisis at like 30.
Nice.
Like I have a day job.
Shh, say it softer.
So I turned 30. I was doing what I think I was told to do, right? You know, I had the job. I think I had just moved back home just to save money because I was going to try to buy a house. So I was just like, I wasn't happy. That's what it was. And then I didn't know that, but like, so I started developing, I think I was stressing myself out so much, I started losing like little chunks of my hair.
Jesus.
And so a friend of mine was like, well, are you happy? I was like, not really. Like, I guess no one ever like stops to ask themselves that question. So I was like, no, man, it's kind of like, this is it. Like, you know, you find a wife, you have kids, and which is fine. If that's your life, that is totally fine. But for me, I was like, this is all we get. We get one chance.
One opportunity
And
One shot.
to seize everything you've ever wanted in one moment.
yeah, exactly. Yes, if we can quote the great Eminem. Is he great, by the way? Are we? Is that debatable? I don't know.
I have a feeling about that, but I'll wait.
I feel
Top
like
10?
I feel like rappers and like artists, it's hard to compare once you get to a certain level, but they definitely have stats.
Yeah.
And so in overall technical ability, I would consider Eminem GOAT status.
Go.
I would agree, but I think he's getting to a point of like, you need to put the pen down, bro.
I'm kind of with you too. So, anyways, yeah. So, my friend was like, "Well, what makes you happy? Or what's one thing you always wanted to do?" And I was like, "Comedy." And you know, he was like, "Dude, you always talk about it, like in your 20s." So I did stand-up comedy a few times in my early 20s because a frat brother did comedy, and then he was like, "Hey, someone dropped out. Can you just fill up 5 minutes with that story you told us the other day?" I was like, "Yeah, sure." And so, got on stage. I made a bunch of people I didn't know laugh. You know, I don't know, 25 people hooked.
Yeah,
you
that
know?
feels good though.
And that's it's the best. I want people to know, like, you don't know what that feels like to hit that punchline and then that force of laughter. It's a high. It really is a high. So that was in my 20s. I was in college. I told my mom and dad, "Hey, I think I'm going to go to L.A. and try this comedy thing." And my parents didn't go to college. We grew up poor, and they're like, "No, you're gonna put that degree to work." So I got a job and then kind of left it there. So at 30, I was unhappy, and I was just like, well, let me try it. And then that's when I started going to Flappers on Friday night. And when I went, it wasn't Mike Gonzalez. and Donna Main. It was I forget the guy's name, but he
Jay Light.
It was another guy.
Was it the door guy?
I think it might have been.
It was either Ryan Friend or the new manager.
I think it was Ryan. So he let me in. I went to check
Shout
out
out to
open
Ryan
mic.
Friend.
I checked out open mic and left, and then it came back next week, and then that's when I was like, okay, let me try this. So that's when I started taking it seriously. And then once I started like thinking I was okay, not good, I was okay. That's when I was like, okay, comedy is going to be something that's going to be part of my life the rest of my life. Because there was a comic we've seen at the Flappers mic. I forget his name. He's, I don't know, 70. He would do like those. He does really set up punchline kinds. And
3 Jews walk into a bar.
Yeah. But I was just like, yeah, I don't care if that's
Yo,
me.
that kind of comedy is going to crush. It's going to come back. I guarantee it. That's fucking speakeasy comedy.
Full circle.
Yeah.
3 COVID patients.
A Jew, a Filipino, and a white man get COVID.
I really feel like in the 80s, people talked like they were funny. Like there was no like punchlines. Did you ever get like?
There's a cadence that they found, but they didn't understand the punch part of it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And then
that's
I was
right.
like, and I ate it up like a kid because I think the first comic I really liked was Jerry Seinfeld, and then because my mom introduced me, he was like, "Oh, this is such a funny comedian and a good TV show," and then in 13. Anyways, I discovered Dave Chappelle. I'm one of those like bitch ass people that have you heard those people say like, I like that band better when they're unknown. I'm kind of like
Hipsters.
that. Yeah. I was just like, I was.
Do you
I
use
knew Dave
almond
Chappelle.
butter, sir?
No. But yeah, that's when I started to take it seriously.
So what's your? I mean, and this is.
I like that you treated it like a sniper, like comedy. You treated it like a sniper. You went out, you took recon. You're like, all right, this looks safe. I think it's okay, and then come back. All right, let's do this.
It took me a long time. Like I studied comedy before I did comedy, in the sense like I read books. I was listening to like YouTube videos how to do open mic, like what not to do. So that's why it's such a stupid rule, maybe. But it could be 120 degrees like it is outside. I will never be in shorts. Like whatever YouTube video I saw says never do comedy in shorts. I was like, okay, like, and that's just ingrained in my thing. Like I don't think it's unprofessional by any means, but it's just something I won't do. And like moving the mic, like the first thing I made sure was pull out the mic and move the stand. Like, so I studied it, and then finally, like you said, I was like, okay, now we're going in on this. So
that's very smart of you. What do you have in a prediction for comedy in the future? Like for yourself, like what is your strategy? What's your plan? Because we're all fucking. This is Wild West right now. So.
You know what? Obviously, 2020, I think, is shot. I think we probably all had shows that we were looking forward to, got canceled. So for 2021, it's just getting back to the level I thought I was. Like, I really felt like I was gaining traction, like I was getting better. So I want to get back to that. And then as far as that, I don't know. Like, I feel like most comedians, their goal is the special. And I still want to have that. Just it's like a bucket list. But I would love your guys' opinion. The word special to me has maybe lost its luster because of all the Netflix.
Yeah.
And it's, I'm sure.
And because I came out with a special. And that's as soon as I did that was like, oh, the special is done.
But no, to me, that's more interesting. Your special is more interesting.
Don't feed him. Don't do this.
No. Let me jerk off real quick. I need this.
That is more, I think I hold it to a higher standard because like the other, like the ones on Netflix, it's just maybe because it's not live comedy. Like yours was live comedy and theirs was like a production of live comedy. And, I don't know. It's just, so I want to work on like a half-hour special, if you will. Yeah. 60 minutes terrifies me to be up there that long, to remember everything I do. Because, again, I don't know how. I would love to know how you guys come up with your set. Talking with Johnny Gold. Talking with Johnny Gold, he's just like, I just go up there, just kind of feel it. Like I have jokes in my brain, and then
Johnny's a crazy person.
But then, like for me, I have almost like a set list, but that comes off kind of robotic sometimes. Like when I look back at the videos, I'm like, you got to feel it, So I think for 2021, I want a solid 30 minutes by the end of it.
I think that's a really reasonable goal. I think You said that that you have trouble remembering all of it. I think when you start doing longer sets and then you start doing all the material over and over and over again, then it won't be an issue.
That's
but
good.
right now, it's like, well, not even right now. I fucking hate the world. Right now, or at pre-COVID, I assume the most of the sets that you were getting were like 5 minutes at a time, and it's so hard to gauge. You know.
I know.
You get it. You fucking get it.
Like I was getting comfortable with 12 minutes, but even that was choppy. Like the first 6 were good, and then the last 6 was kind of you know. So
Did you guys have like a favorite set in the last year? Like obviously pre-COVID, but you know, because going down the line, every time we talk about it, it's like, well, hopefully, it's very like bleak when we look forward sometimes. And it's like, so I like to live in the past and remember that. What's your favorite? Maybe not even last year. What's your favorite set? Doesn't have to be like the hardest you crushed or anything. What do you think is your favorite set so far?
I know what it is. Do you have?
go, please.
Dude, when I keep talking about this on my stupid Comedy Journal podcast.
Okay, skip.
I did a show in Orchid, California with Anthony Davis and Galen Nash. And I did like 20 minutes, and it was just fun. It was like up in Orchid, there was nothing else. They couldn't get distracted by other stuff. There was a full audience. I got a lot of time. I got paid a little bit of money, and I drove very far I just felt like I'm being a comic right now. Oh, I'm using up all my gas, and I'm making old people laugh, and it was just so much fun. Fun. Or that or Vegas, one of the two.
Yeah, see, I need to do that 2021 is get out of California in the sense like.
Doing out of state
Yeah.
show, Mike.
It's a fucking awesome feeling.
It's a game changer for
Yeah,
sure.
dude.
My favorite show actually is, I would say, so George, me and you, we did a show in December 2019 that has a good punt, like a good, I was bringing out a new joke for the masses, and then the punchline crushed, like to get pushed back by laughter. So that's still, that
Also, for those that don't know, to take that risk,
Mm-hmm.
to take a brand new joke and do it at some place where their name ends in improv for more than 100 people,
Yeah.
like that's a fucking
And the thing about comedy too is like, so the joke I was making, it's basically like my girlfriend speaks Spanish and then she'll talk dirty in Spanish, and the punchline. Well, the time I said it, it wasn't supposed to be a punchline. It was supposed to be like a setup, if you will. Like, you know, I have to say Alexa translate, but either the way I said it or the timing of it, it turned into a punchline. So it was just like, okay, I learned that about that joke. So that holds a special place in my heart because it was like the biggest laugh I have ever gotten on stage. But the best set, it might be dumb. I think Nick Polias, he asked me to be on a show in January 2020. It was at a dive bar in Walnut. They had 50, 60 people. And I did 10 minutes. 8 of those minutes was really good. I would say I was hitting. 2 of those minutes, they were having technical difficulties. Like, it was pissing me off. Like, I would get up to the punchline, and then the mic would cut out. But the reason I love that is because I had 2 friends there out of 60 people, and I made that whole bar laugh off my jokes. Like, for the show that we did in December, I had like a good amount of people there. I don't know, 20 or 30. And so I'm happy they showed up. But in the back of my mind, I always have that competition where it's like, oh, Mike James is only up there because he can bring 20 or 30 people. So that makes me work harder. And like, I get like really obsessive about my work. So for the bar show, I remember my girlfriend, she was almost like starting to get ready. And I was like, hey, can you do me a favor? I'm going to go by myself. Like, I just need to go by myself. I need to like just float in this deep sea to see if I can swim. And she was like, yeah, okay.
She was like, thank God. Jesus, fuck, I'm tired of pretending like I'm happy to go.
I can utilize this new vibrator now.
Just got a new car battery.
So I ended up having 2 friends show up because, you know, I do post the shows or promote the shows I'm on. But like I said, the majority was not for me. And to have a good set. That's why I want to travel. That's why I want to do what you did. I want to see if my jokes can translate to different states that are with different people in different situations. So,
dude, performing at open mics in another complete like. The comics there, because you can feel the scene, they're like, oh, there's some fresh meat. They watch you to see if you're good or not. Mm-hmm. And if you do well, immediately there's this feeling of like acceptance, like you got accepted into a new tribe. It feels so cool.
Yeah. I'm still trying to get accepted to the OC. I feel like I can never break. Like I've never had a good set.
Dude, I'm trying to get accepted in Riverside. No. Like, can we slow the roll? Like,
I think you're one of the Godfathers now.
Jesus.
You guys.
There's nothing to Godfather of.
It's all gone. It's all rubble. Ugh.
Yeah. Do you want an empty room? Got it.
It is comedy Mad Max in the IE right now. Like,
yeah.
God damn. I can't wait till we can get it going again.
Do you think it's like when comedy comes back, do you think it's like, okay, everyone back into the bars, or is it like, okay, you're going to allow half capacity and then comics, you can only, I don't know, 5 of you in there at a time and then switch out?
I think it's going to be a transition. Those days of packing 80 people into a fucking broom closet to do comedy on a pallet, like, those fun days, we can't do that anymore.
Yeah.
But I think it's going to be an adjustment, and I think most of the real ones are going to be fine. Like there's some ring rust they're probably going to have to shake off, but they'll just get right back at it.
I think this is going to weed out the weak. Mm-hmm. The people who like really don't want to do this shit or doing it as a hobby. You don't want to do this as a hobby anymore now that it's dangerous and like weird. So I'm happy about that.
Yeah, it's cool that like, now when you go to a mic, people are working on shit.
Yeah.
Because no one's trying to get COVID to just talk shit into a mic.
Yeah.
So,
That's true. Do you guys, I don't know. Because I think, like, in my mind, okay, January 2021, this thing is all over with, if you will. You guys as open mic producers and all that, you guys see that influx of new comics every January because it's like so I almost feel like it's going to be double that. You're going to have those New Year's resolution comics, and then, I was one. And then you're going to have those like COVID, like, well, this, I lost my job. This is a sign that I should just do my dream, and that's going to be.
It's going to get on my fucking nerves. In my opinion, well, I don't know how George feels about it, but that shit's going to get on my absolute fucking nerves probably.
What's your guys' like pet peeve about doing open mics?
Running them or?
Yeah, like.
That's my answer, running them.
Yeah.
I wish I could just show up.
My pet peeve about running them, I think, was.
I think it's more like, what's your pet peeve about the comics that go up? Like, what is, I don't know, something they do? Do they like kill the room? Obviously, that's probably like a big pet peeve of everyone's because
I don't mind somebody going up and doing their best and bombing. And if they walk a room, even though they're like doing their best, yeah, man, comedy's comedy. It's hard. Yeah. I get it. My issue is when someone purposefully goes up there and is like, well, I'm not doing well, so I'm going to make sure all of you fuckers have a really hard time when I'm done. And they attack people and they say crazy shit so that people leave or it fucks up the energy. Then the next poor guy who's coming up, who's just trying to work out new materials, fucked. So this selfishness is what gets on my nerves. The end.
I mean, they're scared. I try to be. I think I'm more understanding about it now. Like you were saying, if you're going up and you're trying, I'm not mad at that.
Yeah.
You're putting an effort in. It shows. You know the difference between someone who's just bullshitting and someone who's trying. So if you're trying, that's all I care about. So genuinely, there's very few things that will upset me unless it's when the things start being inconsiderate to other people who are also trying. It's like, so if you run the light, it's like that's disrespectful, not just to the next person, but to the venue, to the producers. You don't know if they have a hard out. You don't know if they've already had this deal, if maybe they've been riding this 30-minute soft close for their show, but they should have been done 10 minutes ago. Like, there's too many unknowns by running the light. And that's like the first rule you learn in comedy. It's like, hey, click, click. Yeah. That's a light. You point at me. You saw the light. Cool. We have an agreement.
Yeah.
So when people run it, and it happens, I get it. But if you go up and I'm like, all right, he's gonna run the light.
Yeah,
that's too many times.
Something that's on. Okay, the answers the question, but more about myself because it's all about me. One thing that I think I fucked up with was investing too much of my emotions into it. Like when we were running all of the mics, fucking, how many were we doing?
You guys were doing a lot.
Jesus Christ. I invested my emotions into it, and I think that was dumb of me. And that whenever we start up again, my emotionally speaking, connected to them is not going to be there. I'm focused. Like I want the mic to run well professionally, but the only thing I give a shit about in terms of emotions is my performance, if that makes any sense.
No, it does. Yeah.
You said something before about like sounding robotic before. Fuck. Well, I know that part of this is going to be being able to perform, but how do you think you can fix the robotic sound? Like what is the techniques that you think you need to do to make that not happen anymore?
I think for me, it's not memorizing every single word I wrote down. So one person I always write with is Brian Matthews, and
Yo, he's meticulous.
he is. He's levels of
Yeah.
it, you know. Like I'm sure he maybe showed you his notebook or anything. It's color coordinated,
It's momentum shit. Memento.
Exactly.
Memento. Yeah.
and it's like I want to be like that. So I'm like, okay, let me do that, But then as you do comedy more and more, you kind of realize what works for you. You hear other famous comedians say, "Oh, I write on stage." So for me, I'm discovering that it's a balance of both. So I have an idea, I'll write it down, but I'm not going to be married to every word. Or if I miss a sentence or I miss a few words, I'm not going to kill myself over it. And I think that joke I did in Ontario, that was just an outline. Like I knew what the punchline I was going to say or what I wanted to get to, but it was just kind of like being in the moment. And once I delivered the punchline and I got a good response, I don't know, it kind of validated, okay, this is kind of how you write. You write. So like in my phone right now for all of COVID, I don't have any like punchlines per se. I just have
Premises.
Premises.
Right.
That's it. And I, can't wait to get back to open mic just because I want to see if they work.
Dude, did you go to Beltran? You didn't go to Beltran.
I did it, and then I had another engagement I had to go to.
You're important.
It was fantasy football. So.
Gotcha. I don't. Anytime someone says I have an engagement, I'm like, oh, this is some.
Was there money involved?
Illuminati shit.
It's a $200
Yeah,
league. So
that shit's real.
Yeah, that's real.
Yeah.
That's an engagement.
I spent too much time studying players and all that fun stuff. So,
That's homework.
But yeah, I wanted to go, and I heard it was a
It was.
good mic.
It was. Dude, you know
Don't
what?
look at me. I didn't go.
I was really impressed.
I don't want that to sound like I didn't support it, though. I wanted to go. I'm poor, so I had to do some shit.
And then I am starving for comedy. It was Carlos Escobar, Steven Espinoza, and
Dave Chappelle.
I'm blanking on his name, so please don't hate me on that. But they did a comedy show, Ernesto.
Yeah.
They did a comedy show 2 streets over on like last Saturday, and I was like, I'm there, like just to be around comedy, and it was a great time. Like it was just, but how was the mic?
It was good. Like Beltran was so organized with it, and he had lights, and he had the chairs all set up. He had thermometers. He had all this stuff, man. And he didn't have to do that. Like knowing that all you have to do is say, "There's gonna be an open mic." Comics gonna be like, "Oh, all right, okay," and they're all just gonna glob onto it. And he really went above and beyond to make sure it was professional and as reasonable as possible. And I just have the utmost respect for that.
Yeah.
Also, Steven Espinosa blows my mind with how naturally funny he is.
Right?
And it makes me upset at myself.
Dude, I've been like on his ass like since he started. We both started around the same time, and
Yeah.
he would always go up. He would never remember my name. It doesn't make me mad. He thinks it does, but no one remembers my name. I prefer it that way. I prefer to go to a mic, nobody know who I am, have a good set, and leave. Like that's what I want to do.
The
That's
George way.
Ideally, it never happens. But like, yeah, every time Steven would go up, I'm like, fuck, I gotta go after him. This is bullshit.
He's so naturally funny.
Yeah.
It makes me angry.
Yeah, no, it's great. It's great. It keeps everyone sharp.
God damn it.
Yeah.
Like it shows you like that there are levels to this. There are people who are gonna start and just fucking suck, me, and then there are gonna people that just are natural at it. I've I don't have anything like that in my life, or I'm naturally gifted at anything. So I want to be like those people.
I remember there was a mic on Thursdays that Mike Gonzalez put on. It was like on a Mexican restaurant. I don't know if it was Mexican, but it was some sort of Latin.
Pupusas?
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
In
San Dimas?
Yeah.
So I remember Steven Espinoza was going up, and I was laughing. I look towards the kitchen because, like, I think most of the comics were standing in the back. I look towards the kitchen. The cooks or whoever was working the back, they were laughing because you can hear the mic, the sound system. And for me, I don't know. There's certain times where if you can make a certain type of person laugh, you succeed. Maybe not many people laugh, but you made those people laugh.
You know what the best feeling is when you have a black crowd and you hear a black dude be like, "Nigga, you stupid. Nigga, stupid." Like, that's how you know.
Or you hear them repeat your punchline.
Yeah.
Like, damn. That's going to go on a shirt.
Speaking of Espinosa, that's what I want to not take. Or I want to take the I'm so pretentious and serious and depressing and annoying and frustrating and other negative adjectives. I want to be able to just be silly. So I need whatever the fuck Espinosa has.
Right, he's so fun.
Yeah.
And I don't even mean that in a fake Hollywood.
No,
his sets are
he's
fun.
fun.
When he's on, he's fun.
He's so fun. I want that, man. I gotta watch his YouTube. I'm gonna hit him up or something later. But
He's gonna get mad. He's gonna think you're complimenting him to be rude, because it comes so naturally to him that he's not doing anything. He doesn't think it's special. He doesn't understand that
He's so
don't know how to do that.
yeah, man.
He's so funny, and it's so natural.
Yeah.
That's the thing. I'm like, I want that.
I feel like okay.
I would have loved to be in his science class. I bet he fucking crushed.
Just watch him make jokes about tectonics, and it's still hilarious.
It's dude, you don't even understand geology. How are you doing this?
But okay, I have a question for you guys, and that is, what are your natural skills? So Espinosa's naturally fun.
I'll leave.
Okay.
That's fine.
All right, I'll start, and then I'm curious. I know my natural skill is emotionally connecting with people. I know that if I'm like, all right, here's the feeling I want you to have, and especially if it's not happy, I can make people feel sad really well. And I think that's a skill, or that and natural storytelling. But then there's these other weak links I have that I need to improve. But I'm just what are your guys's? I know, George, you're gonna do your thing, but what are your natural?
I'm legit trying to think, so please come back to me next time.
I would say I don't know if this is a skill or anything. It's just I've had a few friends, even coworkers, come see me, even at open mics now. Open mics, I don't mind if a friend comes sees me, but they've said I have a certain look about me. I don't know if it's because I'm tall or I just they were like, you have a certain look. So my friend Chris, who I work with, so if we could circle back real quick. He's black. He invited me out one time. We went to Culver City. He was like, "Oh, by the way, you're going to be the only non-black passenger." There's I was hanging out with 20 black people to make them laugh. I was like, "Okay, maybe I have something." Okay, so back to what Chris was saying. He's like, "You have a look." He saw me do a show where I did okay, and then he saw me do a show where I did really well. And he's like, "You know what? The same thing both of those shows had. You had the audience's attention. They just." So one audience didn't feel it, the other one did, but you still had their attention. They were waiting. They wanted you to succeed. He's like, that's a look. And he's like, you should kind of lean on that, So, again, I don't know if that's a skill, but I have started to know, even at the open mics on Tuesdays, which are your guys' open mics, my favorite open mic on Tuesdays.
Hideaway.
Hideaway.
Oh, fuck, I missed that.
There's so many times where I walked off stage hearing, not... I didn't hear laughter, right? So I'm like, oh, I bombed. But at the same time, if I look back at it, I didn't hear people talking, So I was like, okay, at least I had something. They were willing to listen. So let me roll with that. So I think that's, the skill,
Your skill is that you're captivating? How am I supposed to follow that? That people want to naturally listen to you? That you're charismatic?
I don't think I'm charismatic. It's not like I walk on. I think it's just we'll give this guy a chance.
I feel like it's a given. It's not even a chance. It's if people are naturally have an inclination to be locked on to you, I would say that's charisma. Whether it's intentional or not, it's like an aura. You're like, oh, cool, let's listen.
Yeah.
Like-
I think it's like if I could be the audience, they're probably like, okay, he seems nice. Let's give him a shot.
You're disarming it first,
Yeah.
maybe. Damn, that's a good one. Damn it, I got nothing. Like, I mean, have you ever? That
you know what
seems-
skill I want
What?
is if I'm telling you right now, it keeps me up at night. If a heckler, like I have a few comebacks, but I know like if that first like comeback doesn't work, like I've seen you deal with hecklers or people talking in the back off the cuff. It's so natural, and I wish I had that skill. You know, like
What skill?
so I was saying that the one skill I wish I did have was like being more spontaneous. Like, so again, I'm working on not being robotic, so I'm very scripted. So if I go off script, I'm getting comfortable with that, but it's not 100%. So if someone starts talking through my set, it kind of throws me off, you know? And then I was saying, George, you know, he's been trying to, you know, open mics. He was working on his open mic material, and he, you know, some people in the back, and I forget what you said, but you flipped it, and it just got everyone quiet. It got everyone to pay attention in a respectful, like, okay, guys, it was funny. He's funny, obviously. Let's go. You
I
know?
think it's called being lucky. I don't think that's a skill.
George refuses to take any compliments.
I don't. I'm trying to think. I'm legit trying to answer this question and not cop out. I guess that would be my one thing is that I'm quick. I'm
very quick.
I'm witty, and it aids me. It gives me I guess space around my jokes to kind of just play around and have a good time and see what works and what doesn't work. And so like I know that I can kind of bail myself out of a bad situation.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that sets me up to have a good set. So yeah, I'm witty, I guess.
When it comes to the God damn it, what happened in your life? You
know.
can't take a
don't know.
but
You are very funny and very witty.
Thank you.
the riffing things. I was talking with KJ a lot about this.
Oh God, that guy's so good too.
It upsets me.
Him and Zero, like is
Zero's
real big,
another one.
But go on, yeah.
Well, since I met him, this is the one thing he keeps bringing up, and I you know when you're trying to learn a skill and it clicks for a little bit and then it clicks off, or it clicks in a way you weren't expecting, then it clicks off. That's kind of where I am with this. But he's always been like, paint a picture and use your imagination.
Oh, fucking Bob Ross over here.
Just KJ with a big afro.
Yo, KJ, that's your YouTube show, bro. Just paint shit
Dude,
and talk to us.
I want to see
That would
KJ
be
paint shit.
hilarious.
Yes. I'm
And it
going to
would be
message him.
even better if the painting sucked.
I'm gonna message him about this. We need to make a whole YouTube series about that. But that's what I've been working on. So like with your riffing, that's what you want to do, right?
That's what I want to be better at. Like KJ. I feel like KJ, like he goes to open mic, and I'm like, I know he's working on material, but it just sometimes it feels like I'm just gonna have fun. That's what I'm like. That's what I want.
Yeah, man. Okay. When using your imagination, how does that work in your head? Like, if does that make sense to that question, or is that like
I'm not high enough. To
fair enough? All right, spark it up, and we'll get this. Like, okay, he latches onto an idea and then just expands and expands and expands. And personally, what I run into is like, if I get lucky enough to latch onto the idea, I get a joke, I get one or two things, and then it stops right there. I can't keep expanding. I don't know how he's doing it, so I want your perspective now.
You want me to answer what KJ goes through? Man, that guy is. I don't know.
I think he's just, and this is going to sound like a cop-out answer, so it's a very lengthy clarification at the end. I think he's just doing him.
Mm-hmm.
I think he's going up there with an objective of, yes, to be entertaining, but he decided a long time ago that he's going to do his version of himself. He's going to have a good time, and so are you. Mm-hmm. So it's like, it's not, I'm going to tell a joke. Was that funny? He's like, here's a funny joke. And he does it so confidently and so laid back that even if it's not a funny joke, you're like, that was good. Like, not saying he's not funny, but
it's just him.
He's not waiting on your response. He's like, no, this is funny.
Yeah.
And it's that confidence that, because like, comedy's kind of it's a dance. It's like an emotional connection, and he commands the stage.
His laugh though, it makes me laugh.
His fucking witch hanging out in a gingerbread house, like you just walk. I don't know where he got that laugh from.
There was one time I was doing a mic at Chatterbox, and I did a joke, and I got some laughs, but then I made KJ laugh in the back, and I'm all, okay, that's good. Like, I made a mental note, like, keep going with that, because I'm like, if you could, like I said, I think KJ's my older, because he's been doing it for a few years. It's like, okay, he laughed, I got something, let me work on that.
I think so. Okay, I'll speak of myself, and I want to know you. Just being him. I think what I'm running into with that's an issue is I'm a very depressed, anxious, angry person from life, and I'm working on it, guys. Chakras, but so me just being like the one man show thing. That is literally me just being me. But that's not fun. That's not a fun experience to have. Mm-hmm. So I don't know how to fix that. I don't know how to just be me, but it also be fun. Because I know I'm a silly person. I know I can be funny. I just don't know how to click into that for whatever reason.
Yeah, I think for me, I just jump. Like I think I'm funny. That's why I'm doing this. I have something to say. I do want to entertain. I do want to make people laugh. So for me, I just jump in. Like every show I've ever done, leading up to the show, I want to cancel. I want to pull out. Like I just have this battling. You're not funny. You're not going to kill. Like, and then finally, like 2 minutes before I was supposed to go on, that's when I'm like, okay, well, we're here. You know what to do, and whatever happens. Try your best. Like, and that's all I do. So it's that's me. Like I do have two sides of my brain. A lot of it's saying you're not funny. Why are you doing this? And the other side's like, just go, see what happens.
Okay, George, how do you just be you?
I think that in terms of just being me on stage, that was probably like a 4-year experience, because I remember feeling exactly what you're describing of like, just like, no, I know that the building blocks are there. They need to click together though. Like I need to have it work, and I haven't had that moment yet, and looking for that moment, but then getting to the other side over the 4 years and going, oh, I haven't had that moment in a little while. Like it's a process of being you. Fucking, I don't know. It's
It's
like
a weird thing to
describe the color blue without using the color blue. Hey, blow your brains out, bro.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
It's being zen, chilling. I going back to like, I don't think I'm good at riffing necessarily, and my evidence being the riff off. I bomb there almost 100% of the time.
That's right.
I miss the riff off.
I've never succeeded. That's why I wanted to go. When I was so happy you guys had that mic where you just pick up 5 topics, three, and you riff on them. That was like, okay, this is gonna help. The fact that you guys had something like that, I was like, yes.
Dude, comics hated that mic. They wouldn't go to it.
It's hard.
I love it.
It sucks to bomb every night.
Yeah, don't be a bitch. No.
It makes me cry.
Okay, I have a question for you guys. Okay, which, like, we're gonna talk famous comedians. Which famous comedian do you that most people glam about that you just don't understand what they're saying? So an example, I think Richard Pryor is funny, but the way people talk about him, he is
a god.
A god.
Mm-hmm.
Just for me, I'm like, no, he's funny. Like some of his bits are obviously are legendary, and you can't ever talk shit about them. But then overall, if we're talking overall, for me, Mike James, he's not on my Mount Rushmore. So what would be your...
Without question for me, Jerry Seinfeld.
Okay. Yeah.
I cannot stand Jerry Seinfeld. I respect that he is Jerry Seinfeld, but he seems like a pretentious... Oh, no, I'm going to project on him, I think. He seems like a pretentious, irritating...
Black dude, yeah.
Internally, he is definite... No. He just seems like he seems to feel like he is above people, which apparently is a part of the humor that I don't get. I don't want a guy talking down to me. He's so... I respect that he's meticulous about his jokes, but he is so meticulous about his jokes to the point where it's becoming absurd and it's silly and it's goofy and it's like cliche. You're doing jokes from fucking that 1987 and shit.
Yeah.
Jerry Seinfeld, I seethe when I see him talk. Have you seen Talking Funny on HBO?
Mm-hmm. No, the four.
Yeah, with
Louis,
Ricky Gervais, Seinfeld, and Chris Rock.
Right.
And when he's like, "Of course you're above the audience" or whatever, because you're the one talking. It's like, dude, if COVID has taught us anything, is respect that there's people there to listen, and appreciate that nobody has to fucking be there. Nobody has to listen to you. And he doesn't seem to have that respect for the audience, from what I can see. I don't know this fucking guy. And if I were to meet him, I would shut the fuck up and listen. But from everything I've seen of him, he gets on my nerves. I don't understand his show. I don't understand his comedy. He's boring, milquetoast. I needlessly getting aggressive about Jerry Seinfeld for no reason. Jerry Seinfeld's my answer.
Okay. Yeah, for him, I actually saw him live. My mom obviously loved him. So I took her to go see him. I mean, I was laughing. It was a great show. But then...
Jerry Seinfeld seems like he'd put on a day show.
Like a talk show?
Yeah. No, like he would do a comedy show at Flappers, but at like 2:30 in the afternoon.
Yeah.
Because he needs to go to bed by 7, that old man.
But someone pointed out to me, like, do you know he put out 2 specials of old material? And I was like, oh, I guess you're right. Yeah. You know, that's... He has such a respect for the craft, which is why I have such a respect for him. But I just don't like him. Fair enough.
I don't know, George.
I guess it's 2-part answer. I don't have a person like that in my life, really. I don't consume comedy I'm not a big comedy nerd. I know this is fucking sacrilege, but like comedy is something I enjoy doing and not necessarily consuming all the time. I don't a new special comes out, like, did you see it? Probably not. I'm kind of on my own path of, oh, that's cool. If it comes into my view, cool. If not, whatever. I've since grown apart from this comedian that I'm going to sub in for my answer, Joe Rogan.
Really?
Yeah. It's not that I understand why people are drawn to him and his set, but there was definitely one special that won me over that was legit hilarious, and the others were just funny.
What was that special?
The one where he was wearing the beret. He does the bit about
oh, that's just a long time ago.
Yeah, it's old as fuck.
Damn. Okay.
But I was drawn to that, and that, in my opinion, was hilarious, and the rest were close.
Yeah.
And then it has further and further as he does more and more things.
That's a good one. Yeah, I was always a listener of his podcast, but I didn't really... His specials, to me, were not that...
Maybe it's my fault, though. Like, I was very impressionable when Joe Rogan started doing his podcast, and so I was kind of an early adopter as well. But, you know, at a certain point, like, if you do listen to... There was a special, I feel like. If you listen to his first 1,000 podcasts, it's... all of that got condensed into one special, and you're like, I know where he's going with all of these points. And it's not a reveal anymore. It's not a magic show. You're just at a TED Talk now.
That's fair.
That's fair. Yeah, I thought Stranger Times, which I think was his last one, in my opinion, that was his best one. But it's like, it's up here, you know, like at level 8 or 9, and then the rest of them, for me personally, were like 4 or 5s. You know?
I will say though, his performance of his of the Kardashian family as like lionesses or whatever, like his whole physical act out, that's fantastic.
And he got paid by Spotify.
That was great.
Good for him.
Yeah.
I have a question. Here is my question. I have Asperger's. How...
Is that true?
I probably. I KJ said it to me one time, and I was like, "Oh shit, huh? Yeah, that makes sense." And I've latched onto it ever since.
That's a bold statement. How do you say it to you?
He said like, "Oh, this nigga got the burgers. He's got the burgers. He count on his fingers. They got the burgers." Whatever his laugh is. I've latched onto that ever since. I rep Burger Gang.
To see if you have it, or...
it just makes sense.
Yeah.
It's just like, yeah, I can totally see how that's probably the case. I can see how, you know, I don't know, you need to, this whole thing. how do you think all of this stuff has affected you mentally and emotionally? And what do you think that's going to do to your comedy when this is done? Because I think it's fair to say that old jokes are null and void.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I'm sure you could tweak old jokes, but it's always now going to be under the framework of 2020. I don't think it's going to be the same anymore.
It's almost going to be like before COVID.
Yeah,
after COVID.
if you have a joke that's before COVID, you've made it clear this is pre-COVID, and now we're post-COVID.
Right.
So for you, just personally, how's this affected you mentally and emotionally?
I've definitely been like, I don't want to say depressed. I feel like the word depressed gets thrown a lot. Like, you know, like sometimes you're just sad. You know, I don't know if that counts as depression, but anyways.
I have.
I definitely been sad or depressed because it's so we can't do anything in the lockdown, right? So when this whole thing started, you were just watching TV show or Netflix or whatever you could, or going online, and seeing people talk online has made me probably depressed. Like before we started the podcast, I was talking to the guys about like going online is really mentally unhealthy for me because it makes me so sad to see people's lack of compassion for other people. Everyone thinks they're so right. They think they have all the answers, and
Don't look at Aaron so hard like that.
All that's true, I think.
I don't know. It's just I don't know. It's made me depressed. As far as comedy, the the premises I have on my phone, they're happy ones. They're the ones I think people would relate to. You know, I don't have any Corona joke. The only Corona joke I maybe will touch on is, you know, people always say you need to live with a girl before, or you need to live with your significant other before getting married. I think you need to get quarantined with. That is two different things, because like before you could just leave and, oh, I got a job. No, I got to work from home. Wake up, she's there. I got to do dishes. She's there. You know, it's just like you get to really know a person.
That's a great premise. You got to smell her shits all the time. And you got to,
yeah. And it's just like, so I don't know what the punchlines are, but that's my only like Corona joke. But yeah, I try. It's hard to write. It really is. Like, so when Joey Beltran had his open mic, and before I realized I couldn't go,
I bet if he listens to it, he'd be like, "Why are you calling me Joey?"
Oh, Joe. I thought it was Joey. Wasn't it always Joey?
It's Joe.
No,
Is it Joe now?
Yeah, Joe Babies, as the street names.
I do love his. He did a couple weeks there where he kept like posting on Instagram about eating ass. That it was, I don't know, it cracked me up. But yeah,
stealing my thing, bro. Joe Beltran, you stealing my ass eating stuff? All right.
So I I'm trying to keep the premises like relatable. But yeah, this whole Corona thing, it's made me look at people differently, you know, and it's sad because I had high hopes. You know, I had hopes we were going to get through this together, and we kind of are. But then I realized how certain people think. Like, I don't want to get too deep into politics or anything, but one thing that hurt was in the beginning of the lockdown, like March or April, Newsom, that's our governor. That's how dumb I am.
Fucking no.
Okay,
Yeah.
so Newsom, he put out a bill that would help immigrant workers, because they're out of work too. I saw so many hateful things posted, and I even saw people. There's a pastor. I'll call him out, Pastor Jack. He goes to one of the Calvary chapels out by me. He
taking shots in his bitch on Jesus, on God, nigga.
He posted something like against, like, we shouldn't help these people, and to see so many, and of course you got to click on the comments. You got to do it. Click on the comments, and so many people agree and go even harder. And then people that defend, like, oh, let's not judge these people. They're people of God too. People would attack them, and I was just like, what the hell is going on? So that made me kind of feel alienated because, even though I can't speak Spanish, I can't roll my R's, I am Mexican. I am a minority. And so to see so many people kind of not support the Mexican community, it hurt. And what made it weird was then, like, all my white friends who I saw post something online then hit me up like, you want to go get drinks? I'm like, I don't know. Do you like me?
They don't realize.
I don't think they think you're not one of them. That's what I think they think.
Wait, what?
So, like, I think people that post like, oh, Mike, I don't like immigrants, or that let's just say that's the gist of their post, but they still hit me up to grab drinks. It's like, oh,
Because you're one of the good ones.
yes.
Yeah,
and
you're a good Mexican.
yeah,
Yeah, I get you.
And so
You're
I'm
not like them.
and yeah. So I'm just like, that's my grandmother. She was an immigrant in this country till she was like 60, and then she got her citizenship. But it's just like
The way I've personally rationalized this, I don't know if it's going to help, but I think that they are projecting their own insecurities. Like, I don't get me wrong, I get the anger and the frustration and the sadness. The like, oh fuck, is this how you thought of me this whole time?
Yeah.
Dude, I found out about old friends that have been throwing out niggers just for fun, willy-nilly, and I didn't understand that. But I think that they're projecting their own insecurities.
Yeah.
And they're like, I don't know. There's some fucking yeah. We're getting depressing.
Well, the fact that like Tekashi 6ix9ine could drop the N word, I'm like, I'm sorry, I don't want to be the police on this. Can you do that? Like,
I mean, apparently,
I don't know. And then like, I don't know.
I'm gonna be the person to not make this depressing. Watch this. Watch this shit. I wrote down a
You can edit
question.
that out too.
Watch him fall. And he's going to fail.
We'll see.
It's going to end up in sad.
It's not how hard you can hit. It's how hard you can get hit and keep punching at people. All right. How long have you been doing this? Comedy?
3 years.
3 years?
3 years.
Okay. So when you see a new comic, meaning like someone who's doing it
Dude,
like
we're all new comics.
Yeah.
a newer comic, far newer. When you see a person who's doing it like their first, second time,
Okay.
how do you feel? Like when you're at pre-COVID, when you're at a mic and you're 3 years in, and then you see someone who's like the first time or a week in, how do you feel about it when they're performing? Like, what's going on in your head if you're even paying attention?
So like usually, like so again, Tuesday nights I'm usually like, in the back, and you can kind of tell who's new. Or sometimes they'll usually say it. Like I told myself, don't say you're a new comic just to get sympathy points. I fucking said it within 30 seconds. You could tell like the stand, again, I don't know why that sticks out to me, but more often than not, they take the mic out, they leave the stand there. But then more often than not, they're like, sorry guys, this is my first time. So it's like kind of developed a connection in my head. I don't think anything. I think there was one comic that, I forget his name, when he first started going to the Tuesday night mics, he was just doing sex jokes, dick jokes, anything. And so it's like kind of like in my brain, I thought, oh, he might be new, you know? And then he came off stage, and then I heard him talking. He's like, oh, yeah, this is my first time, blah, blah, blah. But then since then, he kept going at it, and obviously his material has changed. So I don't think anything of it. I'm still competitive. Like, I still do a check of, like, wait, are you better than me? Like,
Yeah.
I wish we had trading cards, like comedian trading cards.
That'd be so sick.
I remember at
Little buddy badges.
I remember at Flappers, one of the Friday nights, Karina Sagoon, she went up for the first time. I thought she killed. And again, as a friend, as a fellow comic, I was so happy for her. But then part of me was like, we got to work harder. Like, she's already, and I'm only like 6 months in or like a year in at that point. So, but my competitiveness was like, okay, we're going to go home. We got to work on these jokes because she's good, you know? And so that's, I really don't think anything. If I've had people like ask me for tips and I'm not one for tips, I'll record.
God, I would love for someone to ask me for tips. I got plenty.
I just tell them like, look,
Quit.
You're no one. I'm no one you want tips from. Trust me. I'm
gonna stop giving tips because that was pretentious. What makes you feel like you know that Orchid, California store? Like, what makes you feel like, oh, I feel like a comic right now? What?
Hanging out with you guys. Really, I feel it's might be cliche.
I feel like I owe you an apology.
No. I don't know. I don't get to do it that often because when I was going to when I had to go to work in LA, you know, I had to be in bed by a certain time because I had to wake up a certain time, catch a train. So I don't get to hang out that often. So to be around other comics, even just texting them, that's like the highlight of my day. That's when I feel like a comedian. Or like, I don't know, like I'll repost someone that has a show or someone that has a good bit. Like that makes me feel part of the community. Because that's the one thing. I just want to be accepted. I just want to be funny. I don't have to be famous. I don't have to. My only goal, like I tell you, I just want to be passed at the Comedy Store. That might take 20 years, but that's probably my only ultimate goal. If I could just do that the rest of my life, I am so happy, you know? So just to hang out with you guys, just to talk shop, because it's like, again, I started only a few years ago, so you guys are my peers. I just want to be accepted, you know. I just the highest compliment someone gets to be like, Mike James, he's funny. That I could die happy.
Huh. Interesting. I think I don't know if I've had. No. You know what? I have had a moment where I feel like a comic, and it's not my. It's never been like during a set, because I feel like when you do comedy, going on stage obviously is gonna be the best part every time. So when someone's like, "Oh, the first time I killed," it's like obviously that's why you do it.
Yeah.
So I think my favorite part where I genuinely feel like, oh, I'm a comic, I'm doing comedy, is that like 1:30, 2 o'clock in the morning drive home after you've done your set, you've hung out, you're a little tired, but you had an okay set, you had a good night, you got paid, and there's like zero stress, and you get to drive home in zero traffic, and you're just like, dude, I could do this every night. Like just going home, super chill, had a good time, and go to bed.
Yeah.
Like that drive home is my favorite of doing comedy. It's such a weird, like, isolated moment.
I 100% agree. There was a set I did in at the dojo. I had a really good set. I got to hang out with some friends that they got to see me. I was so happy. They got to catch me on a good show, and I was on, like you said, I was on my way home. I probably had the radio off, like I was just kind of sitting in that high. I didn't want to go home yet. I stopped at a local bar, had a drink, but it's by myself. Like I don't know if that makes me an alcoholic, but it was just like a celebratory, like I could do this the rest of my life, and I'll be happy. That's all it is.
It's cool. It's cool because like that's the end of. Obviously, it's 2 o'clock in the morning. That's the end of your day. And, you know, you had one goal that day and you accomplished that goal and you get to kind of sit in that silence of success. Like, I did that. Nobody else helped me with that. I wrote these jokes. I worked them out. I went there. I did my job. Had a good time. This is cool. Like, that's serenity. Do you have any, I guess you just got back. We were talking about that drive home after your show when you've had a decent set. Like, that's my favorite part of comedy.
Ooh. Yeah.
Serenity is almost like a way to describe
That's
it.
a good
Not
word.
necessarily bliss, but like zen.
Yeah.
Like, that was how this day was supposed to go.
Nirvana. You're just kind of like.
I think that, or when you're on stage and you are fully present and aware that you are doing well.
Yeah.
Like, I try to compare it to I don't surf, but you know when you watch Rocket Power and the wave is over them and they're just in the wave. That's how it where you're just hyper aware, like, oh, I'm on stage telling my jokes and it's working. And if there's money involved, it's like, this is perfect. This is how it makes me think, how the fuck does everybody not want to be a comedian? So that's kind of how I feel.
Yeah, the show I had in Hollywood, I described it to my friends. Like, I walked off stage, I was high. Like, I just had a really good set.
Damn,
and they said
a show in Hollywood.
They were like, "What?" They're like, "What'd you like? How is it on stage during it?" And I said, "For that show, I was like, this might sound so stupid, but I was like, I was like, I could see 2 steps ahead before everyone else. Like, I knew my set, I knew I was tied to it, but I wasn't married to it. Like, I knew my bits, I knew my punchlines, but everything else in between was just kind of
play.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And it's just, again, driving home, quiet, and just enjoying it, and thinking this is, like you said, how do people not want to do this?
Yeah.
And the fact that people say like, oh, I'm like, I can never do that. I'm like, really?
Yeah.
Like, I have friends that are like, you're a cop. I think you're so funny. You get this. You see that.
I think that moment is enjoyable though, only because of all the work that you put in before. You know, it's more of a payoff of like, cool. That was a Friday night show. I went to a Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday mic, and I did exactly what I was supposed to do. I'm proud of myself. You know, winning that victory for yourself.
When do you?
I'm jealous you guys got paid. I haven't got paid yet. I just love doing it.
When do you feel like, when is the moment where you're going to be like, oh, I made it?
Probably if
I'll go first. Never for me. Your turn.
George.
I'm hoping. I'm not saying I don't want it, but statistically speaking, I am not in the successful.
I think George is such a maniac. He's gonna make
It's
it.
just gonna be persistence. I'm just gonna be the only one left. It's like everyone I knew died, and they assumed I ran the club.
I'll probably say if I ever get fortunate enough to make it to the Comedy Store, like, because that tells me peers respect me and that people do want to. Oh, he's got a 15-minute set. Let's go see him. Like, I do. That's. What about you?
I had a weird moment of, oh, I kind of made it. My standard was if I'm living off of comedy. And then there was a point during COVID where I was literally living off of street comedy. Mm-hmm. And I was like, I made it.
Yeah.
And whatever, cool. And then it's morphed into like, I want to live comfortably, not off of the street for comedy. So that's my new bar is to live with mild comfort, and not only because I'm on the street. Yeah. That's my made it right now.
That's a great one.
If I feel like I'm gonna jimmy my way into being comfortable, like I'm gonna have to do something on the side so that I can do comedy. Like I don't think my comedy is gonna pay my career.
Would you be a writer on a show, like a comedy show?
Oh yeah, for sure, definitely. I'm definitely down to write and do any other thing. But like you said earlier, I've just accepted comedy is gonna be in my life.
Yeah.
At this point, I would like very much to get better at it. The longer I do. Mm-hmm. But the longer I do, the less I learn.
Yeah.
It's just what's it? A plateau. There you go. Yeah. That's what I'm at.
Yeah.
For like a decade.
Yeah. If you could like wake up and do like something comedy related, I think that's.
Yeah. I just want to create. I just want to make stuff.
Yeah.
Same.
I don't know. Maybe Kevin Smith, my life. I don't know. Let me talk about other people's shit and then pay me for it.
Did both of you guys want to create something your whole so you both used the term like create something. I felt like growing up I was never really thought that way. I think in my 20s I was like, okay, I want to do something different. What am I like? What could I be good at? And then that's when I learned, I can be creative. You know, like how long have you like childhood where you was like, could you draw? Did you play instruments? Did you?
George, you want to go? Or
you go.
I knew since I was a little kid, even before I understood what comedy was, that I wanted to do this.
That's cool.
Yeah, it was, and then it's society and my environment and my family fucked it up. I'm working on the bitterness, and so they, that whole thing of people being like, no, you got to go to school. That's what happened to me on a really aggressive level, and so I've always wanted to create and be that person, and now I'm just in a place where I'm like, no, there's really nothing to lose. Fuck you, I'm doing this. This is what I'm doing.
I don't like comedy has not always been something I wanted to do. It's something I discovered later in life, like post high school even. It was comedy and just being creative overall it was just something I did. I knew I wanted to like draw, so I would go draw. And then when I was over that, I would usually have another, like I loved playing with Legos. I get bored, I just go build something. And I didn't understand that was me creating. I didn't know that was the need that I was filling. But it's just, this makes me feel good. And I wasn't a social kid. I like bounced around houses and I didn't have a lot of friends. So I was isolated. I was drawn to solo pursuits. And so, Legos and drawing and doing magic, making balloon animals. Yeah. I was very tactile. I like fidget spinners, and I was a weird fucking kid.
Yeah.
I remember one girl in high school told me, she was like, I thought you were going to shoot the school up. And that hurt. But I couldn't be like, you were wrong. Like, I knew I was weird. That's why. It's like,
that's a real comic on the inside.
Yeah. But it didn't matter. Like, it's like I can't really be anything else. I'm fat. I'm funny. I don't really have a whole lot going for me. I like people having positive experience around me. I'm gonna do what's that.
That's funny.
I've always wanted to create in hindsight. But how or what I did didn't really matter. I was just filling a need. And then I discovered comedy, and I realized that that's an endless supply of creativity and creation. Like, you can really just settle into this fucking douchey, the art and the craft of comedy to express yourself.
Yeah.
And I like the freedom that comedy offers me. And if I could be successful at it, the freedom of lifestyle that being a comic entails as well. So I was just drawn to it. Comedy chose me, I should say. I didn't necessarily choose it.
That's a good way to put it.
So that was my question. Or my answer, I guess, to a philosophical question. I don't know. It's not fun all the time, though, you know?
Even I don't know. I think I always tell my friends, like, they ask me, aren't you afraid of bombing? And I said, well,
Yeah.
it's going to happen. Like,
Every
I can't, but I tell them, like, I was so, like, sad or depressed at 30 and 31 thinking this was it. That was all. Even my worst bombing days, which happen often, are still better than not doing this. Like, just thinking this is it the rest of my life.
Totally agree.
And again, I'm not talking shit on people that just get a job, get a wife, and have kids. That's cool. And I'm going to do that too. It's just, I want to do my, and the thing too is, like, I talk to my guy friends. This is another reason that I'm like, why do people get married? Because they're just like, you're chasing your dreams. I said, yeah. And they're like, oh, I always wanted to do that. I'm like, well,
That was the saddest goddamn thing.
I was like, you still can. They're like, well, I have, my wife and my kids. And I was like, okay, they're just maybe
in the way. Get rid of them.
Murder, bro. You know how many documentaries exist? Learn.
Throw them in a river.
And then I asked him too. I'm like, so I asked one of them, what do you want to do? He's like, I don't know, just open up like a brewery or like brew my own beer, something like that, something simple. Again, I don't know what goes into it, but I was like, oh well, why can't you? I was like, your wife would probably support you, right? In the sense of like, yeah, do what you want. And he was like, I don't think so. And I was like, okay, man, that's.
It is hard for me to wrap my mind around that. Like, I don't understand why you would choose that life.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't mean that in a judgmental way. I mean, I literally I can't wrap my brain around it. Yeah. Why would you? If you are excited for a 3-day weekend, fucking kill yourself, because that's really sad to me.
Yeah. No, I agree with you.
It's hard, I think, but that's why it's hard to be happy, and finding a passion and pursuing that is one avenue to being happy. It's soul fulfilling, not soul crushing, like being in a cubicle all the time. But it's an uphill battle. If you slack off from pursuing your passion, you're back down with everybody else, and we got lucky to find something that we're passionate about, to find it. And then some people don't ever find it. Some people are always depressed and forget that happiness is an emotion. Even I remember when I realized I was depressed and then realized I wasn't. There was like a very specific moment where for the first time I felt like I could breathe, and I didn't know what I was missing. And so we got lucky and ran into our passions. I think those people just haven't had the opportunity to find it because they've been trapped in this cyclical go home, go to bed, wake up, take care of the kids, and same over and over and over. It's not their fault.
Is that an American culture thing? Is it different in other places?
I think the egocentric, I need to be happy is. I think that's very specifically Western and United States driven. Because like Asians are very other people, in India that's pro-family. Fucking arranged marriages are still a thing. So
I mean, like the getting trapped in the cog in a machine thing.
No, I think that's a universal.
Okay.
Yeah, I think my mom, she wanted that life for me because it was safe. Like my mom was like overprotective.
Yeah, right. And that's why there's nothing. I would say there's nothing wrong, but like that's why people promote such a 9 to 5. Like everyone knows that if you do that, you should be okay.
Mm-hmm.
Yo, I think that's what's gonna happen.
Scary.
That's gonna be a big change from this COVID stuff. Is now people are realizing like, no, nothing's safe. It can fall apart at any moment.
Hopefully, but I mean, maybe the machine just starts running again.
That's also fair.
Yeah,
there are
I hope. I'm trying to be optimistic because like, why be bleak about it?
Yeah.
But I think everything's gonna open up. We're all gonna adjust accordingly. And comedy's just the nature of it. Of hey, this is a connection between me, 30 strangers. That's not gonna change. That dynamic's always gonna be there. It's just gonna be in a different venue. Maybe it smells like hand sanitizer now. Maybe you took your mask off beforehand. Maybe you got 20 mask jokes now. So funny's funny.
Here's a question for you guys because you guys have been doing it longer.
Aaron, how long have you been doing it now?
I think consistently, if you count street, 5 years.
5 years, and then you're about
Like 7 or 8.
7 or 8. Has anyone wanted to hook up with you because you're a comic?
Yep.
Nope.
All the time.
Nope. Way to fucking beat me
I'm gonna
down,
get George
guys.
to. You come on, George.
No, honestly. Like, I've never... probably because especially if it's like a show, to me, it's less hanging out, socializing. It's like, that's my job now.
Right.
You know, like, that's the thing in my life I take seriously.
Mhm.
So it's not that there's no opportunity to, but it's just that I don't put myself in that situation. My job is to go up there, tell the jokes, go home.
Right.
Can I make myself sound like less of a douchebag based off of that answer? And that is to say that
You didn't come off as a douchebag. I mean, you know, like yeah, this girl. Blah, blah.
yeah, that's been a thing a fair amount of times, and I think that there was a place I was in where comedy was my goal, passion, career, and everything, but that was also a thing I was going for.
Mhm.
Whereas I think I'm more in that headspace that George was describing of I could give a fuck about that.
Yeah.
I really could give a fuck if someone's attracted to me because I'm performing or whatever. And I think part of that is because my personality was so wild and strange when I was younger that I wasn't given the time of day. And it's like, oh, now that I figured out how to tweak my personality in such a way that you're entertained, now you're interested. It's like, no, fuck off.
Yeah.
I had when peak George Floyd. It was peak George Floyd. Sorry, I don't know what time is anymore except for tragedies.
Right.
Peak George.
Star date.
Yeah. George Floyd, street stand up, and the NPR interview. That point in my life, all of a sudden, I was getting messages from girls who just stopped talking to me from Tinder and Bumble or whatever. They all started messaging me. They were like, "Oh, I saw you at the protest. I saw you on the street." And it's like, bitch, you stopped talking to me.
Yeah.
What are you And it felt gross. So ever since that point, I've been I have a lot of walls up when it comes to that shit. So yeah.
I don't know. I don't know if this was. I remember a few mics ago, obviously months ago, there was a girl. I think you were conversing with, if I remember this correctly, but you were conversing in sign language. And that was like I was like, I didn't know you knew sign language. But then my mind, because she was a girl.
Then you started finger banging her. Can you see in your pussy?
I had this scenario in my head. I'm like, I hope he's putting the game on in sign language. That is such boss move.
I remember that, and I wasn't.
Okay.
I was just talking with her. But I remember people being
To
angry.
confirm that the other wasn't making shit up. Like, okay, no, he speaks. He knows.
Yeah, the whole sign. That's another thing. It's funny. I think it's less when it comes to women and being attracted to a guy. I think it's less the It's just that a guy is doing something. Like sign language is another thing where girls will be like, "Oh my god, you sign language.
Yeah.
So you can finger spell in my vagina, like whatever." But it's like, oh, you're performing. Oh, you play an instrument. You just do a thing.
Yeah.
I think when you just do something, women are attracted to that.
Yeah. I think it's maybe because I had a friend. She was like, "Oh, I think comics are really attractive." And I was like, "Why?" And she said, "Because you guys have confidence. You have confidence to go up there." I'm like, if you knew a lot of us, we have shit confidence. We just have this one little slice of confidence to be like, I can go up there for a few minutes.
Yeah.
Definitely. And I think that's why I probably haven't gotten laid off of comedy, you know. I'm not trying to, you know what, let me douchify my answer. The girls that have fucked me have only fucked me because I'm funny.
Hey.
I know, okay? This is not, like, no one looks at me and is like, oh, what a fucking snack. Like, okay? You got to talk to me and I made you giggle more than your boyfriend or something. But if I'm not a social person when I'm at comedy. Like, as far as I know, I haven't gone up yet. I'm going to bomb.
Yeah.
I don't need to talk to you beforehand. I'm trying to not bomb.
Yeah.
And so I'm in my own space right now. And so it doesn't leave a lot of room to interact with people preset. Post set, it's like now I'm running volume and don't talk to me. So
I feel like
there's no opportunity for me, I guess.
I feel like when a girl has come up to me like, "You're so funny," like my natural stupid answer wants to be like, "Thanks." Like I was really ugly in high school. Like, I
never know what to say. I still don't. So I give them my business card now.
Smart move.
Yeah. I was like, oh, cool. Here.
Thanks. Here's my girlfriend's number. You can call.
Yeah.
See if she'll let me.
It's is that something I missed? Have you gotten?
I'm very blind to shit like that. Like if a girl, so I'm the kind of guy so I grew up with, it was my dad and then me and then we were the only boys or men in that side of the family. I had a bunch of cousins. I have a sister. They're girls. So my mom, my aunts. So
you speak subtext, is what you're saying.
I'm good at it, not an expert at it. So they taught me like just be sociable, be respectful. So I'm the kind of guy that like or if I was at a bar and I was single, I would talk to a girl just to talk. Like I just talk to people, but sometimes my niceness gets confused for like flirtatiousness. But I don't think that. I guess I never think a girl wants to bang me. I don't know why. I just my brain never went there. And
I do, but it's usually with a car. That's my dad joke of the day.
I was thinking, I was like, what happened? What's going on? But yeah, I've had girls like reveal later, like, yeah, I wanted to hook up with you. Why do you think I drove 20 miles? And I was like, I don't know.
You know what's fucked up? I just realized this. I've had more dudes tell me they want to fuck me after seeing my set than girls. God damn it.
It's a compliment regardless.
I guess, but like, way to go fishing and come back with something else.
Regardless if it's guys or girls, I think it's really weird if like
I went for a tuna. I got a great white shark that wants to fuck me.
A bear.
Yeah.
I just think it's weird, like if someone wants to bang someone just because they're a comic, like we're like clowns, right? We're just without the makeup, so
don't attack me like that.
I think, George used to be a clown.
Is that true?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did you go to clown university?
No, that's hard to get into, by the way.
Very hard. Yeah.
I'm gonna look into this.
I think we're like punk rock clowns. I think that's what makes it a little more appealing.
We're like edgy, but
yeah, there's an edginess that comes with it. You're not in makeup with the giant shoes, and you're not spraying water.
I think for the most part, there's a vulnerability that it comes with as well. Because when you're a clown, you've put on a makeup, you've assumed a character. There's a wall up,
right,
whether you want to say it or not. And with comedy, it's so visceral and solo and just you and your voice that it's inherently vulnerable, and makes it punk rocky and like this is my soul.
Yeah.
What did your parents say? Wait, have your parents seen you? Have they seen you do comedy?
Oh, yeah. I can't wait to rant about this. Go ahead, George.
Yeah. My parents have seen my mom, my dad. Yeah. Most of my family has seen me, but they didn't see me till like last year.
Okay.
Like I even if I was doing comedy out there, I probably would have waited a solid 5 or 6 years before I invited my family.
Yeah.
But yeah, I went back home. I talked myself onto a couple shows and had a good time for the weekend. It was kind of like being on tour. It was cool.
Nice.
And also because my mom drove me. So it was like I had a bus driver. It was dope.
The ultimate Uber.
Yeah, it's like it's such a loser way to pursue comedy. It's like, my mom brought me here and she's right there. So thanks for coming, Mom. But I had a good time. But I think prior to them seeing me, most of my family was distantly supportive. I think they were just proud that I didn't get stuck there and I picked something that I was just pursuing. Like everyone saw like, oh, he's clearly trying to do that now. Fucking finally, bro.
Yeah. That's good.
So, yeah.
My family is the exact opposite of supportive. They will do everything to get in my way, to make sure I ruin my dreams. Whatever makes me happy is the opposite of what I should do. And I've made it very clear to them during COVID specifically, like, don't fuck with me, you're going to have a problem. Yeah. I've made it very clear. Like, I have, and I'm going to sound vitriolic right now because it makes me so mad and I'm working on it. But my family has actively got in the way of my dreams and what makes me happy. Like I was saying, like I knew I wanted to be a comic. I was bringing this shit up in like 3rd, 4th grade, and they were like, "Oh, you're gonna be a veterinarian or whatever." And it's like I get that when you're a kid and you want your kid to have a reasonable life. But when your kid's fucking 20-something and saying, no, I'm doing this. Well, why don't you just try to be a computer programmer? It's like, shut up. Yeah. Shut the fuck up.
Yeah.
So it makes me furious. So in short, No, they're the opposite of supportive, and they disgust me. They absolutely infuriate me that they would ever get in the way of someone's dreams and happiness. I've made it very clear I've been depressed outside of this, and this makes me happy. And the fact that they would dare tell me not to, it makes me seethe.
Yeah.
The end.
Yeah. My mom, I think she tried to talk me out of it, and I was like, Mom, I'm gonna do this thing. Like it's, you know, and she's just, and again, she's coming from a protective spot, because she was like, well, what if people heckle you? What if people tell you you suck? What if people are really mean to you? I was like, it's going to happen. You know, it's
You're like, done.
yeah,
That was yesterday. What up?
I was like, exactly. I was like, people can do that anyways. So she was very like, I don't want you to do this, but I don't know. It took a year for her to be like, okay, I can't stop you.
Yeah.
And then it took a few more months after that for her to see me. And, you know, she said I did good. I have an ass eating bit, which she has tried to tell me not to do. And she wants me to be like Jerry Seinfeld, Jim Gaffigan, like really squeaky clean. Yeah. And then we got in an argument because I'm like, well, Mom, like, one, it's me. It's funny. It's my perspective about life. And it seems to be connecting with other people. So I'm going to keep saying it. And she tried to say, like, well, I know more than you do. I was like, why? She's like, because I've been alive longer. I'm like, correct. But how long have you been doing comedy? And she's like, 65 years. I'm like, that doesn't count. You're not. So I was just like, so for the December show we were on, she was like, do you want me to go? And I was like, no, you don't have to. Like, you just, because I'm going to do that ass eating thing. I'm going to do a couple other new jokes. So
that was the thing with my family seeing me was I know my mom, and I know that it's a little dirtier than she'd like. Mm-hmm. So I just don't talk to her about it. And I know she's supportive because, like, I think my family just kind of trusts me, and that's of no fault of my own. I had decent parents who taught me how to make good decisions. Like, yeah. I don't take any credit for that, but they trust me with the decisions I make, and so we don't necessarily talk about my comedy. I think they're just, again, happy that he finally fucking picked something and is going towards it. So, like, that's why I think he and I mirror that. When people are on stage and trying, I'm genuinely happy for you. When you succeed, I'm genuinely happy for you. Like, I want to see that because that's fun for me.
Yeah.
Like,
very true.
It's not fun to watch bad comedy.
Yeah.
So I don't know why people come to my shows.
And the more I talk about my family, the angrier this will get. So I'm not gonna even, I'm working on it.
Okay. Well, you have any closing questions, Aaron Chase? Because I feel like you always jot down like 3 questions that you meant to ask and then you crossed out and don't really realize what you crossed out.
You know what? I actually got through all of them, I would say.
What a good task-oriented individual. What are you doing now? How are you creating in COVID? What's your plan? What's your project? You have your podcast that you're doing.
Yeah, I have the Mike James podcast. That's the only thing that I think I know what I'm doing because I've only a few episodes in. Like, I have a Twitter. I really don't use it. So I probably should be more vocal on that.
Him too.
He's
got 2 Twitters.
Do I?
Yeah.
Oh, fuck.
You signed up for a new one because I assume you forgot all the information.
Yeah, I didn't know I had another. I forgot about that.
I have, like, my personal Instagram page, and I have a comedy Instagram page. Again, not too vocal on. I just slowly learning.
You're just planting seeds then.
Exactly. I'm not a big social media person. I actually kind of hate it, but I think for us to be successful, we need a social media presence because I think that's a big question. I have a friend who's in Hollywood. He's like, I forget where he works, but
what's his name? Where's he work?
His name's Chris, my friend.
What's his Instagram? Holla at your boy.
He basically said you can, like, any of us could get a Netflix special, but the one thing they're going to ask is, how many followers do you have? Like he said, that's the number one thing. They don't care if you're funny, how long you've been doing it. He's all...
That's weirdly insulting to me.
Yeah.
I think that's going to all change. I think comedy is going to have a lot of value post-COVID.
I hope so.
Everyone's starved for content, for some kind of social commentary that's not left and right. There's a lot of people that don't identify by red or blue. They kind of skate the middle, and that's where comedy thrives and builds. And nobody's representing that group, and that's a large group of people. Mm-hmm. So I think comedy's going to become valuable again. People are going to, like, even right as it ended, people were willing to pay for comedy, and it had a very noticeable uptick. So I think now that we haven't had it, it's like, you're not thirsty till the well runs dry. It's like now that, oh shit, comedy is going to skyrocket. I hope. Hopefully, we're all funny enough for it.
Yeah.
We might just sink.
I'm really hoping for that day. And actually, no, wait, I kind of lied. So wait, to go way back to your question about like how has it been, COVID been for your mental state?
Mm-hmm.
So obviously social media will creep in there. There's so many times I've tweeted and just deleted, like, because I was just like, let's just relax. Let's not pour more gas on the fire. It's just the way I work is when someone takes a stand, whether I agree with it or I'm not, but if they're vocal about it, it's just the insane man in my brain that's like, let's take them down. Let's make fun of them. So yeah, that's.
I
so
think I
I'm
don't
trying
think
to
you
use
should
Twitter.
delete. I don't think you should delete.
That's
Maybe
what-
not post. Maybe hold them in the drafts. But
I have a lot of drafts.
dude, I would make a lot of people pissed if they went through my drafts. So fucking upset. I'm so angry.
A lot of Jew stuff in there.
A lot of Jews, a lot of black, dude. Let's be real. But I got this from my freshman English teacher. She said we would write in a free journal. That was basically our only homework, was that you had to write every day, and even that seemed like a task because I was in high school. But she said, I want you to write in pen because then you can't erase it. But if that's not what you meant to say, cross it out. So that maybe that thought shows itself later in a different form. You can see where it came from, your thought process. Or you can go back and go, that was definitely the wrong sequence of words to use because that sounds bad.
Yeah.
But then you can always go back and edit. Whereas like if you erase it, it kind of almost erases the memory of it happening. I don't mean to sound fucking 1984, but like it's not there anymore. It doesn't exist.
Yeah.
At least on paper it exists, and you can do something with it if you have to.
That's really interesting. Yeah.
So,
Yeah, there's a lot of stuff on my drafts.
That's also why like a lot of my notes I just write in pen. Because it's like, maybe I crossed it out, but I meant to do that task. I'll put it later. And now it's there to remember. So all right. Well, I mean, what's your handles? What's your podcast called?
The Mike James podcast.
Yeah, so my podcast is the Mike James Podcast. My Twitter, if I remember correctly, is Mike James Jokes. So at Mike
My
James.
Twitter is at Dave Chappelle. No.
And then what's my Instagram? Oh, Instagram is just the Mike James. So give me a follow. Hopefully put some content out there that everyone enjoys. Look forward.
You're making content. That's cool. That's
Yeah.
dope. And regularly, it looks like I feel like I see a new post every week. Fucking dope. Okay. Where you at? What you doing, Mr. Chase?
Instagram Aaron Chase 91. I made a GoFundMe to help get me to my RV goal.
Saw that.
Yeah,
That's great.
it's Aaron's-
Feelbadforme.com.
Yep, it's Aaron Chase's RV dreams on GoFundMe, and I'm still trying to meet Dave Chappelle because I want to learn from him. So I have the hashtag Aaron Meet Chappelle, and I'll be out on the street. You can join my text list. Just send me a
Dude,
number.
you should auction off like spots in your RV so that if somebody commits like $50, you'll etch their name into like your dishwasher with a knife or something.
I would be down to do that.
That'd be cool. That would be legit cool because then it would be like a community RV almost. You'd have something to think about.
So far, my goal is $6,000 at $40. Getting there slowly but surely.
That's not zero.
Not zero.
Shout out to Zero. I am at the George F. We are at the Buddy System Co. Go to our website, thebuddysystem.co, for podcast sketches, future updates. Everything is there. It's been a pleasure having you, Mr. Mike James. Thank you guys for listening.
Thank you so much.